Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and we're going off a bit off the beaten path today with Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and we're looking at Vial Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier, red and black for a 3/2 Goblin Mercenary, and whenever another Outlaw enters the battlefield under your control, Vial Smasher deals 1 damage to target opponent. Yeah. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm saying I'm going off the beaten track with this one. Is because it only does its damage to one person. So you are picking on one person. Sometimes these effects usually say, each opponent then takes 1. But this one is specific. You are targeting one person. So you've got to be a little bit careful with this. But it's Vial Smasher. Vial Smasher, the partner version, was one of my favourite ever partner cards. And I'm so glad we've got a new version of Vial Smasher. So I figured, oh well, I'm going to have some fun with this one today. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer in right now. This is not going to be CEDH level at all. It's probably at the lower end of my scale, so it's probably around about a 5, maybe even a 4. But it's just so much fun to play. I've played it a couple of times and it works. I've tried it in a 1 versus 1 game and it works so well, it's ridiculous. So, this is my take on Vial Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier today. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please hit the subscribe button down below. As I record this video, I'm sitting at 391 here on YouTube. So please, help me get to my 500 and hit the subscribe button if you can. Leave me a comment, hit the like button at least, just so I can get help the algorithm out. And if you want me to see it play it, there's a link in the description to Twitch. But anyway, enough of the sales pitch. Here we go with the deck list. Okay, so because we're really into the outlaw side of things, and the nice thing about this version of Vial Smash has a reminder text on it. So it's assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks for all outlaws. You've got a lot of cheap creatures that will help you do this. So here we go. Starting at the top. Fairy Dream Thief comes into battlefield. We get to exile, then we surveil 1, and then we can exile the Dream Thief from the graveyard when it dies to draw a card and lose a life. Fanatic Firebrand lets us tap and sacrifice it, so we can target someone or a creature. Greedy Freebooter gives us a treasure and a scry when it dies. Impulsive Pilferer does the whole let's create a treasure when it dies, and we can encore it for 3 and get a whole load more treasures if we need them. Reckless Lackey comes in from OTJ. First strike in haste, and then we can sack it off for a card and a treasure at some stage. Ruthless Ripper is just a death touch assassin. We can play it as a morph value and reveal a black card if we need to, but 9 times out of 10, a 1/1 with death touch is kind of something that people avoid for a little while in the game. Spiteful Hexmage comes in from the Wilds of Eldraine. Comes into play, create a cursed roll attached to a target creature you control. That's fine. We can just put it on one of the random 1/1s. We're not worried if they die too much, but having a 3/2 for 1 black mana seems really good in this deck, especially since it's a warlock as well. So ping someone when we've got Vial Smasher in play. Tin Street Dodger lets us get a little bit of damage through by giving it the whole red mana and make it unblockable apart from defenders. 2 drops. Charmed Scoundrel comes in. Choose one, discard and draw. Treasure token, or put a Wicked Roll token on a creature, which not the worst thing to have happen. Dire Fleet Captain, it gives us all our attacking pirates +1/+1 until the end of turn when it attacks. Dire Fleet Daredevil also nicks cards out of people's instant sorcery out of people's graveyard, and then we can spend mana to cast it. If the card was put into the graveyard this turn, exile it. We all know what it does. The Poisoner is also here. When it enters the battlefield, target attacking pirate you control gets +1/+1 and gains death touch until the end of turn. So hopefully removes a big blocker out of the way and leaves you with a 2/2 death toucher in its wake. Dockside's here, sorry. Yeah, mana ramp, always great. That's all it's here for. Fugitive Codebreaker from MKM comes in as well. Prowess and haste. And we can disguise it if we want to. It's useful later in the game when we've probably emptied our hand out a bit and we need to draw some cards. So, yeah. But disguise cost is a little bit high with the instance of sorcery. So you're probably looking at 4 or 5 mana each time instead of 6. So, yeah. Bear that in mind. But at the end of the day, it's a 2 mana 2/1 with prowess and haste. So we're not going to complain. Generous Plunderer also comes in. This is from one of the bonus sheets in OTJ, and I can't remember which one now, but anyway, at the beginning of your upkeep you may create a treasure token. When you do, target opponent gets a treasure token, so you can make friends with someone if you want to do that in the game, a commander. And then when it attacks, it deals damage to defending player equal to the number of artifacts they control, which, if people are creating lots of clues and foods and things, could be good. Not so much with treasure tokens, they will sack them in response usually, but foods and clues could be good for you. Goblin Instigator just gives us a couple of creatures for 2 mana. Goblin Trailblazer comes in with Menace as a pirate. Horde Robber comes in. When it deals combat damage to a player, we get a treasure token. So, yeah, it's a 1/3. Not great, but it still gives us a possibility to get some damage in for a treasure. Humble Defector, hopefully you'll get back on a reasonable, especially if you made friends with someone, so you can get the extra card draw on the go. Kite Sail Freebooter is just because I want something with flying more than anything else. And if we can get them to exile it until a card from their hand, it's going to cause us problems until the freebooter leaves. All well and good. Orzhov Enforcer, Death Touch and Afterlife, so this can die off quite happily and then leave us a little spirit to attack with. Robber of the Rich does the whole let's nick the top card, and as long as we've attacked with a rogue, we get to play that card. Vladimir New Blood, also in from OTJ. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on Vladimir, and when Vladimir has 4 +1/+1 counters on it, it becomes a menaced lifelink creature. Should be fairly easy to do once a turn, I'd have thought. Zoa Lava Tongue is also in the deck. As long as we descended this turn, it deals 3 damage to each opponent who didn't. Discard a card or sack a permanent. The Cutthroat is here because, life gain, drain. Yep, all good to me. Breacher's Eager Pillager also appears. Whenever a pirate you control attacks, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. So we get treasure tokens, something can't be blocked, and we can exile the top card of our library and play it. Captain Lannery Storm. Don't like this artwork on this one, but hey, it's the way it goes. Attacks, we get a treasure token. Sack a treasure, it gets bigger. Yeah, go with that. Loreen the Diversion is also here. Sacrifice an artifact creature and go to creature. It's a 3/3 for 3 mana with first strike, hence why it's here. It's also Camber is in the deck, and we'll get to Camber in a minute. Morbid Opportunist lets us draw cards when our creatures die once a turn. The original Vial Smasher, because I already said how much I enjoyed this card, is also here. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, Vial Smasher deals damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost to an opponent. Chances are it's only going to be 1 or 2, but it's still 1 or 2 that you're dealing. Body Launderer goes up. This is where we start getting to the slightly bigger creatures. This is a 4-drop. Death Touch. Whenever another non-token creature controls dies, you connive with Body Launderer. And then when it dies, you return another target non-rogue creature card with equal or lesser power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a way of getting your pirates back if you need to. Yeah, all the non-rogue creatures. We have a few that aren't, so yeah, it kind of works. Decadent Dragon is the only creature that doesn't really trigger Vial Smasher, but I had to play it. It's just too good not to. Direfleet Netbreaker gives all our attacking pirates +2/+0. We have a lot more pirates in the deck than we have mercenaries, assassins, rogues, or warlocks, so yeah, it makes sense. Gonti, the original Gonti, Lord of Luxury, is here. I know there's a new version. I know I haven't covered them yet, but it is in the Commander deck, so we'll get to it eventually. But yeah, figured having the original Gonti in here would be quite good. Camber the Plunderer, the partner card for Loreen the Diversion, is also here. Lifelink, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, we get a life and a blood token. Bit of card draw for us. The Massacre Girl, known killer. Wasn't sure. Could play the other version of Massacre Girl. I decided to go with this one because I quite like this one from MKM. Hence why she's here. Given our creatures wither isn't the end of the world. Murderous Redcap just does the whole persist thing when it comes in and kills 2 and then 1 and then yeah, that's fine. And then the last 2 cards, Prosper Tombbound is also here. We might also have the beginning of our end step, exile the top card of our library until the end of your next turn. You can play that card, and then whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. And it's got Death Touch on a 1/4. And then to make sure we do get the damage through, I have been cheeky and chucked in Purphoros, God of the Forge, the only other outlaw creature in the deck, purely because we like the damage when our creatures come into play. Helps out quite significantly. Spell wise, not too much. Go through the throat, cut down, Infernal Grasp, Terminate, gives a bit of targeted removal. Chaos Warp gets rid of the annoying thing that could be upsetting us. And then pure board wipes, Chain Reaction, Damnation, Blasphemous Act. Now, what I will say about Chain Reaction, people don't always appreciate Chain Reaction, but because we're playing so many low value creatures, we're probably always going to have a lot of creatures in the board that we can deal with most things our opponents play when Chain Reaction gets cast. So bear that in mind. And obviously Blasphemous Act I mentioned. The main card is Elixir of Immortality in the artifact section, because we will be shuffling our graveyard back into our library on a regular basis with all the small creatures we've got. Lava Spur Boots give us a little bit of protection on our Vial Smasher, along with the Swiftfoot Boots, so just make sure they were there. Obviously then there's Soul Ring, there's Arcane Signet, the diamonds in black and red, and then I've put out both of the medallions just so we can try and cut down the cost of some of the cards. It's quite nice just being able to pay 1 mana for some of them. Rakdos Signet, because I figured when I was putting Arcane Signet in, I might as well have this one in for a bit of a change. Plus the fact, 1 mana turns into a black and a red, can really help with some of our low drop stuff, Zoa springs to mind, Goblin Trailblazer, so on and so forth. And yeah, enchantment wise, gets a bit more interesting now. Brimstone Roundup. This is a new card from OTJ. I've had it in a draft. If you've watched the draft videos, the stream replay that went up on Monday, you'll have seen me having fun with this in one of the drafts there. Yeah, we should be able to cast 2 spells a turn quite happily, so getting an extra mercenary that can pump for other stuff ain't the end of the world. Cavalcade of Calamity. A lot of our creatures have power 1 or less, and we can attack and do some damage that way. Impact Tremors just does 1 to everybody when a creature we control enters the battlefield. Raid Bombardment does the whole extra 1 whenever a creature with power 2 or less attacks, which is 90% of the creatures in the deck. And then we've got 3 cards that really do help. Virtue of Courage gives another little bit of targeted removal. Yeah, it's only a shock for 2 mana, so it's quite expensive, but it does remove things. But if we can get the actual Virtue of Courage into play, non-combat damage an opponent controls, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library, and you may play those cards this turn. Yeah, Vial Smasher deals damage. It's non-combat damage. Exile away and get some more cards in play. And the final 2 cards, Fiery Emancipation, just because we want to triple up the damage we're dealing, and City on Fire is here because we can convoke this one out, so it makes it a hell of a lot easier to play. Because we're only playing a few cards that go above 3 mana, I know there's a few here and what have you, and we'll ignore Blasphemous Act at 9 because you're never casting it for 9, unless you're desperate for some reason, which even if there's 1 creature in play, it'd be 8, sorry, so, We've only got 35 lands in the deck. I will point out the ones we've got. I have got Field of the Dead in here. It made sense to have it in this deck for a change. Fabled Passages here. Dragon Skull Summit. The usual selection of red and black lands, as you can imagine. I haven't, as you can see, played my other usual colourless cards in the shape of Reliquary Tower and Temple of the False God. I decided it was pointless in this deck having them out. I'll sooner have extra mountains and extra swamps, and then the Theatre, Sulphurous Springs, and Urborg to make sure that we do have black mana whenever we need it. And that is it. As I said, it's a cheeky version of Vial Smasher. It's not the most brilliant thing you're ever going to see. I completely understand that, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun playing it out. Like I say, the one test game I've played against it was a 1-on-1, and it worked really well in a 1-on-1, so bear that in mind. You might want to think about playing this there. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leaving me a comment. Come and follow me on Twitch. I'd really appreciate it. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll be back very soon with a deck that has a lot of OTJ cards in it, but isn't an OTJ commander. But you'll see that tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that. But for now, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.